Look at this man, sitting there in that ugly shirt. Yes, you! That stuff is garbage! It's no good! So let's change that. That's a lot better! Now he's wearing the new, fresh Dr.Wily merch that you can get as well for only $21.99. Get any of the new Wily character designs on a shirt, hoodie, mug, poster, pillow, anything really. And that's not all. You can also get the Dr.Wily logo on a t-shirt or anything else. So go check it out now by clicking the link in the upper right corner, clicking the link in the description, or by checking out the merch shelf below the video. Princess Zelda, the one girl who has influenced the series so much that her name is seen in every title, even if she isn't in the game. She always plays a big role in every title, except for Link's Awakening, Majora's Mask, and Triforce Heroes. Aside from those, an incarnation of Zelda, or one of her alter egos, has always been one of the central characters in the game's story. However, in all those titles, she works together with the forces of good to beat villains like Ganondorf and Vati. However, what would happen if she was actually a villain? You know, really evil? What would she do? What could happen in the end? Well, let's find out. Now, before we really start to get into scenarios and stuff, I want to clarify something. She would still have all her normal powers. Sure, she might lose the power to use light magic like the Bow of Light, which we saw in Twilight Princess, because the gods wouldn't give it to her when she's evil, but she would still be able to do a lot. It could be that she will start using a dark version of a lot of her spells, or maybe she can still use light magic, but we will get back to that later. The point I want to make is that powerful artifacts like the Triforce of Wisdom would still be a part of her, just like Ganondorf using the Triforce of Power. So now that we know that, let's look at the first scenario of how she could turn into an evil villain and what the effects of it would be. Let's say she gets possessed by some evil spirit or demon, that then uses her body and powers to take over the world. If this would be the case, then she's still a good person, but all her actions are controlled by this evil entity. You know, similar to Zelda in the final boss fight from Twilight Princess or the King of Hyrule in the Minish Cap. How could she influence the world of Hyrule in such a form? Well, she can actually do a whole lot. And that's because everyone would still consider her good, and an ally in defeating any evil that attacks the kingdom, allowing her to manipulate all the people in Hyrule, her father the king, any advisors, and even the hero Link. In a way, it would be similar to what Vati did in the Minish Cap. In the game, the king asks Link to find the Minish and have them reforge the broken Pokori blade, so that he can save Princess Zelda with it. However, later in the game, he is imprisoned and impersonated by a shape-shifting Vati, who sends all of Hyrule's vessels to find the Light Force. But while King Deltus is imprisoned and impersonated, the people of Hyrule do notice the imposter's strange behavior. However, in the end, he still fooled people long enough to figure out where he can find the Light Force. Inside Zelda, and thanks to this, he almost won. So I bet if Zelda was possessed by Demise, Ganondorf, or even Vati, she or he, I don't really know which of the two it is, could still win and destroy the kingdom from within. Even if someone found out what's up, Zelda could still use all her light magic powers and weapons to beat this foe. We see this in Twilight Princess after all. Being possessed clearly doesn't limit her powers in any way, shape, or form. Now, another character that did something similar to this was Chancellor Cole, seen in Zelda The Spirit Tracks. He's part of the government and has a lot of power, but in the end he betrays everyone by reviving the Demon King Malladus. So infiltrating the royal family of Hyrule and the whole government isn't too hard, and many people have gotten away with it actually. And in the end, if something like this would happen, then Zelda would probably try to manipulate the government to destroy it from within, or try to make the hero do something that would benefit her, like opening the door to the Sacred Realm or stealing his Triforce piece. And as soon as that part of the plan is done, she can conquer the kingdom since it's either weak or less powerful than her, turning the world into a hellhole similar to the Sacred Realm from A Link to the Past, or she could just run an oppressive and evil sort of government, a dictatorship, and a game based around these events would be similar to the Minish Cap. You help evil without knowing it, and only found out very late in the game and need to reverse it all. Or maybe the hero will lead some sort of revolt against the Queen to free the people of Hyrule once more. But what else could happen if Zelda was evil? Well, it could also be that she was evil from the beginning and didn't get possessed. For example, she's an actual demon. But of course, not just a normal one, but their queen and leader, taking the place of Demise, for example. And this could open the doors to some very interesting things, especially at the beginning of the timeline. Here everything would be different. Normally we see a deity called the goddess who's actually Zelda, protecting the world from the demon forces. But now that doesn't happen. Actually, she would be evil in this scenario and rise from the earth to take over the world and get the triforce. However, there's no god to protect the world from this threat, so the demons would strike and win, obtaining the triforce or at least pieces of it. Now you could create a story or game around these events, quite easily I would say. In a way, it would be similar to Breath of the Wild. And that's because when the hero comes around the corner, evil has already won or has a huge influence on the land. So Link will be backpedaling to regain parts of the kingdom and certain places just like the divine beasts. To be honest, if this would happen, they could do something quite interesting with it. Something we have never really seen before. Territory wars with the invading demons in Hyrule, forcing you to retake parts and the whole country bit by bit. Similar to the towers from Breath of the Wild, but this time it's harder, actually makes the area safer, and allows settlers to live there. To be honest, quite a cool idea. And in the end, you need to beat the demon Queen Zelda, who is sitting in her dark tower, looking like some sort of Disney villain, or the evil Peach from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. Either of these two looks would work, and would also look very cool. And in battle, she would be similar to possessed Zelda from Twilight Princess, but more powerful, and she also has more phases. One where she flies around and blasts you with magic attacks, and then she comes down for a sword fight or at least something more up close. And in the end, you manage to free the people from the demon invasion, starting a new era of peace in Hyrule. Now another option that would be fun is that Zelda would slowly turn evil and break away from the Hyrulean royal family. In the end, she could start her own kingdom, joining forces with groups like the Gerudo. And so she could start a war with Hyrule so she could overthrow her father. Maybe something like that would be similar to the Hyrulean Civil War, or the conflict with the Gerudo after the events in Ocarina of Time. Here Link told the king about ganondorf and it resulted in a war. Something like this would be interesting for a strategy game. Although all of us know that Nintendo isn't too interested in doing something like that, sadly enough. Even though the fans would love a concept like that. There are even multiple fan games out there which are basically Zelda strategy games. But sadly enough, Nintendo won't do anything with that. But in the end, I need to be honest. While Link could win from an evil Zelda, it could also go horribly wrong. And that's mostly because she's usually the key to winning from Ganondorf or any other evil seen in the series. The most recent game is already a great example of this, since Zelda saves the day after Link fell in battle, sacrificing herself to contain Calamity Ganon in Hyrule Castle. Even after all of that, Link wouldn't be able to permanently defeat Calamity Ganon. It all comes down to Zelda sealing him away. There's a reason why her name is in every Zelda title ever. She's just incredibly important for securing the kingdom. So the effects of an evil Zelda would be interesting, and results in the end of Hyrule as we know it. However, while it's fun to hypothesize about this alternate Zelda, some people actually say that she always has been kind of evil. Many different people have already done videos and theories on that subject. A good example is McIntyre. And a good take from that video of how Zelda and the Kingdom of Hyrule can be evil is how they ended up treating the Gerudo. They live in the desert and have done so for an incredibly long time. However, their options are limited because of this. There are almost no resources, and the only kingdom they could possibly work together with wants nothing from them, because they have access to all the resources in the land, so they don't really care. They have even attacked the Gerudo and killed almost all of them, if not all. We saw signs of this in Twilight Princess. And here we also encountered the Arbiter's Grounds, a Hylian prison of sorts where people were banished, tortured, and executed. That place alone is already a serious war crime. And the same probably goes for the attacks on the Gerudo, some of which were completely innocent. So clearly, no matter what you think of the Hyrulean Kingdom and Princess Zelda, they have done some terrible things. Some people argue that they are already evil, but I don't completely believe that, since they have also done good things for the world. Very good things. But please, do tell me in the comments what you think. Are they already evil or good with some flaws? However, one thing that's certain is that Zelda could become evil and would be able to overthrow the Kingdom of Hyrule. She could even introduce a new era of darkness, and the hero Link would most likely have a hard time saving the world. But tell me what you think. Could we ever see an evil Zelda, and would you even like to see something like that? Because I bet some people wouldn't be too happy with such a thing. Thanks so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to click in the upper right corner for even more videos and even entire playlists filled to the brim. And be sure to click the subscribe button so you won't miss any future content. And leave a little cheeky comment if you want. And of course a like.